and turns heel. And a lot of things happened around the before the show, before all that happened. But this is just crazy. Just crazy that this was to happen. And I'm super excited about it. I got to be honest with you. It's just insane. Insane that this happened in real life. And so excited about it. So excited about it. People could obviously join the chat and talk about it as we go from match to match and we talk about this whole situation, because who would have thunk that this could have happened? I mean, I predicted it, but this isn't a time for bragging. This isn't that type of time. So when we're looking at it, when we're looking at that particular situation, it sets up, now we know the day 2 main event, because as the card comes closer and closer when it comes to Mania and the card starts to come together, you wonder who's going to be the main event for night 1, who's going to be the main event for night 2. We now know Cody versus Cena has to be the main event for night 2. The question is, does The Rock try to put himself in somehow to be a part of it as well? And that's the part that I hope doesn't happen. I do not want him to be a part of it in the ring. He doesn't have good matches anymore. I don't need him to be anything more than the, quote, final boss, evil guy that he has going right now. That part I like a lot. What I would not like at all, whatsoever, all right, whatsoever, what I wouldn't want is to see him in the ring taking a spot away from somebody else who's there all the time. And then eventually, when we get closer, we're going to have to discuss whether or not Cena should go over and become champion and break Ric Flair's record. But him going heel was obviously the number one thing. Now, going back to the beginning of the show, you had the Women's Elimination Chamber match to start the show off. Crazy part about that one was, ultimately, you get Jade Cargill coming back. She goes into the ring. It seems like she should be attacking Liv Morgan. She's right there. Instead, we get a swerve, and she attacks Naomi and really beats her up. I mean, it was pretty brutal. It was pretty, I mean, she wrecked her. She wrecked her. She really went after her. And now at that, I guess that sets up a match. It also explains maybe why they lose the tag team title match, because we see that Bianca Belair eventually wins that match. And now she's going to go face either Rhea Ripley or Io Sky. I think it's going to be Rhea. They face each other tonight as we're watching it, as we're doing this live. She faces her tonight. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that goes down as well, because who goes over in that match. But I thought it really set things up well. That particular setup, it set it up pretty well. But I guess it's now Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Is that something you guys would be interested in at Mania? I don't know. I don't hate it. There's nothing to hate about it. But do I love it? I don't know. I don't know what to think about that match. Then you had the ladder match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That was a brutal match. That was one of the more brutal matches you've seen in a long time. I was shocked how brutal it was. It was crazy. It was a real brutal match. Barbed wire chairs and stuff like that. And my only issue with matches like that is, my main issue with matches like that, it always, to me, goes back to the fact that guys could get hurt, really, really hurt. And in Mania season, you don't want guys to miss out on Mania. I don't know what either guy's plan. Well, I think we know Kevin Owens' plan for it by the end of the match, but you didn't know it going into the match. And I think that part was pretty, that other than that, I really liked that match. It was competitive, obviously, a crazy match. I liked it. You also had the women's tag team match where you had Trish Stratus with Tiffany, who's going to be facing Charlotte Flair at Mania. Surprised you didn't get more of Charlotte during this pay-per-view, but WWE has a lot of stars right now. They're on fire. So they have that match versus, I mean, I gotta be honest. I gotta ask, do we really like Nia Jax that much? Do we think she should be like on top with LaRue? And it was fine. It was fine for what it was. It was great to see Trish Stratus 25-year anniversary of her debut and that was exciting. That part was exciting overall. But the match was what it was. It got Tiffany a pin, and now she sets up for the biggest match of her life at Mania when she goes against Charlotte Flair. I hope they have the right person go over with that, but you never know. You never know. I'm not the booker, so we'll see how that particular one goes. And then, of course, we get the men's chamber match, which was crazy, and it set up a lot of things. It set up a lot of things. I thought that once Seth Rollins 2-time curb stomp Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, that was going to be the match for Mania. But after he ends up screwing CM Punk and leading to John Cena's victory, you got to figure you're going to want to see that part again at Mania. So what does that mean for Roman? Do we get an answer from that? And that part's going to be just, I don't know. So that part, and then obviously you end up with Cena, and then he turns he ends up turning on Cody Rhodes. So that part was pretty crazy too. Now, going back to that ladder match with Owens and with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn doesn't really have to win for the fans to love him. So I guess it makes sense that Owens goes over. And then you get the return of Randy Orton. So now I think you're going to get Randy Orton versus Owens at Mania. Makes a lot of sense. There's kind of no bad side to it. There's no downside to that match. That's a match that will probably be really good. But do you want to see Owens lose again? So I think that's part of the reason why he goes over Sami there, because you don't want him taking too many losses. And then Sami's plans for Mania, I don't know. I know the fans will love it. Maybe it's something with Roman. If Roman comes back between now and Mania, it's going to be interesting. As we count this down, we're about 30 minutes away from Raw. And then, and that part was really cool. That part was really cool. Him returning a legend. So you have guys from that, that OVW class that people talk about so much with Lesnar, Orton, Cena, Shelton Benjamin, etc. Now you have two of those guys on this Mania card. That's kind of be set in stone. I would imagine we'll get some update for that on Raw. We'll get some update for that on SmackDown on Friday as well. We'll be doing these lives after each of the pay-per-views. This is just, just a test run to see how it goes. So we'll see how that plays out. So that should be pretty cool going forward. And then we get to the afterbirth. And this was the thing that most people were talking about. So I'm sorry if I'm rushing through the entire card. So The Rock comes out with Travis Scott, and he brings himself down to the ring, obviously. And some people think Travis Scott shouldn't have been there. The Rock's a big star. Travis Scott's a big star right now. Apparently, he's been training to do a match. I don't think I want to see that, but whatever. They get in the ring, and Cody's already out there, and John Cena's already won the match. So you kind of think like this could end up being a baby first baby face match, and it seems like Cena wants him to say no to The Rock, and we know because The Rock and Cena's rivalry that they don't necessarily get along in storyline, so it makes a lot of sense. And then I can't use the language right now, but when Cody tells The Rock to go bleep himself, the crowd goes crazy, and The Rock's going to have to come back in some way, shape, or form. And conventionally, if it was any other time in the last 20 years, it would have been The Rock himself. He starts jumping on Cody. Cena makes the save. They shake hands. You go to Mania, and people are doing the Cena sucks, let's go Cena, and it's going back and forth. Instead, what you got was the groin shot from Cena after The Rock makes the throat slash, and like he brings up whatever, the finger or whatever, and then they beat the hell out of Cody for like 10 minutes. The only flaw I have with what happened is, why would no one try to save him? The Rock should have said something on the microphone, like if somebody tries to save him, you're fired or whatever, because he's doing that whole boss thing. That's not what he did. Instead, I don't know why nobody tried to save Cody. Cody has a bunch of friends in the locker room. They've had a bunch of storyline friends. Why wouldn't they try to help him in that particular spot? That part I didn't care for. But I will say, John Cena going, and then they beat the hell out of Cody for a long time. He's bleeding. Then The Rock takes off the belt with Cody's soul, which never made sense to me fully what he meant by that. Beats him with the belt. He's bleeding, and it sets up perfectly. And now apparently Cena's going to go away for a while. Who knows if they're telling us the truth? He does have movies and different things to do. And then that sets up the Mania main event. And maybe The Rock can be around and set up the why are they together, all those kind of things. Those are all questions that everybody's asking that we don't really have answers to. And that part's going to be super fascinating going forward, because I don't know why he did it. Why? I know why Cena will say it. I'm guessing he'll say, being a champion, I've been a good soldier. The fans still boot me. There's a lot of places he can go. But why join with The Rock? That part I hope they explain. That can add to the story. If The Rock's going to be involved, I just want the things that The Rock does to make sense. I want it all to make sense when that particular thing happens. So that's the part that I'm going to be most fascinated about going forward. Now, this is just a test run that we're doing kind of live today. Just so you know, after each of the premium live events, I'm going to be going live on YouTube, each and every one. Obviously, the next one, I'm going to be live after WrestleMania night 1. I'm going to be live after WrestleMania night 2. We're going to have different guests. We're going to do different things. Again, this was just a test run after Elimination Chamber, but it sets up really well now. We know Bianca Belair is going to face the winner of the match tonight. All right. And then someone in the chat, okay, the question you're missing is, why was Travis Scott there? Now, Travis Scott was initially there with main event Jey Uso. And then somehow he becomes a heel. That's another thing. You're right, Tom. That's going to have to get worked out. You're right about that part. Why was he there? Why is he on the Rock side? And then why? I know why. I'm imagining Cena's turning heel because he wants the title and he's earned this. And Cody, you're not the star, blah, blah, blah. You can do that. But why does it have to be with the, quote, final boss? Why didn't Cena do it on his own? He can turn heel without joining together. I want that to be explained at some point. And the Travis Scott part, sure, I could go with that one too, because that one didn't make full lot of sense because he was just chilling on the ropes for a lot of the time for the attack. And then next thing you know, boom, now he's jumping in it, but we don't know why. But we're asking questions and we're going to watch and be interested. So maybe that was the point. I don't know. So that is a good question you had there, Tom. But we know it's going to be Bianca versus the winner of the match tonight. I think it's going to be Rhea Ripley. We know that for the championships, you know it's going to be Tiffany versus Charlotte. That's going to be a good match. We know it's going to be Gunther with main event Jey Uso. And now we know it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. That all sets up the why, the how, the rest of the card. That's still all ahead. But those particular things, I think you probably couldn't get more star power than that. You're probably going to end up with CM Punk versus Rollins in some way, shape, or form. Is Roman involved in that? Is someone else involved with that? That part to me is an interesting thing as well. So the card is setting up to be really good out in Las Vegas both nights. So that's going to be insane. Now, for people out there, and again, this was just a test run today. We'll be doing it more. It'll look different. We're going to be doing different stuff, different angles. Don't worry. But just so you know, going forward, after all the premium live events, there will be a YouTube live here on 97.5 The Fanatic's YouTube page, okay? So working out the kinks today live. Everything I do is live. I don't really do two-take things. Everything is live. The show is live. Everything we do is live. So we'll be doing this each time. So if you want to get into it, I appreciate the people that are watching it live. I appreciate the people that will watch it later. But more importantly, all right, we'll be doing it. And sometimes it'll be right after the live event. Sometimes it'll be like today, like before the Raw, like after my show that's on 2 to 6, Monday through Friday on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sometimes we'll be on a day like today before Monday Night Raw comes on as well, as people get primed and ready for the next wrestling situation. So we're going to be doing that going forward. I appreciate everybody that watched, and I'll talk to everybody, obviously, on the show tomorrow at 2 p.m. and live again after. No, wait a minute. Desperation is why. All right. The desperation is why, as we wrap up top. That might make sense. We'll be doing this again. We'll be doing this after every premium live event. Cena is a tremendous draw, and I'll talk to everybody soon.